You are about to listen to an exclusive interview on Maximum Threshold Radio. Thanks for listening to us at MaximumThreshold.net. Horns up, fists in the air.
Hey everybody, this is Michael and I'm here with Jean-Paul Gaster from the Almighty Clutch. How you doing, John?
Very well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Good. How's the tour going so far?
Great. First night was in Cincinnati last night. It's been a while since we've been out, about 3.5 months, and so for us that's a long break. I can't remember having a break longer than that. So when you've had a break for that long, it's it's something else to get up on stage, and no matter what kind of practice you do or exercise, that first gig is always an ass kicker.
Yeah. And after all these years, because you guys have been together, like all four of you have been Clutch since what, 91? All
correct.
Four of you, right? After all these years, when you're about to head out back on a tour, how long do you rehearse again before you hit the road?
We don't really rehearse very well at all, to be honest with you. We like to get together and jam, and we like to write new music. However, we are getting ready to go into the studio right after this tour finishes up, and we have been rehearsing the new songs a lot, which is something that we don't usually do. We have put them in set lists, prior to going into the studio. That way you get a feeling for the way the song really feels live. But I'll tell you, we did a lot of rehearsal at home, just playing these songs and really trying to get to know them, get to know the personality of the tune, and it's been very helpful. We're actually more rehearsed on the new tunes than we are the old ones.
So this is going to be the follow-up to Earth Rocker?
That's correct.
Yeah, which was my favorite album of 2013, by the way.
I appreciate that.
And I got to see you guys at Rock on the Range. Maybe 100 bands. You guys, festivals. That one's actually run pretty good time-wise. You guys actually started a few minutes early and just went in there, ripped it up. Like the Marines, you just tore it up and he throws the set list into the crowd at the end, and it's like, I'm ready to go. It's Saturday afternoon. I don't need to see another band.
Yep.
You guys just dominate. I mean, it's amazing you say you guys don't really practice, because the band is always tight. It's always amazing.
Well, we play a lot of gigs, and some of these tunes we've been playing close to 25 years now. So they're really they're a part of our DNA, and so rehearsing the old stuff is not something that we really spend a lot of time on. We would rather focus our energies on new things, and I think that's kind of always been the way the band has always worked. If you know a song, that's great. You don't really need to practice it anymore. Showtime comes, maybe you have to do some homework at home. That's we always try to sort of strive to bring in new energy, to bring in new songs, think about new material, and that's my favorite part about being in Clutch.
Because even there's the Clutch sound. You hear a Clutch song, it might take like 5 seconds, maybe 10 at the most, but it's Clutch. Even it's not like AC/DC, God bless them, everything sounds the same. There's that wide swatch of style, but it's Clutch. How do you guys manage to stay fresh, but also true to the Clutch sound without? Because you're obviously not boxed into it. There's, it seems like it's wide open, but it always seems to fit. How do you guys, after all these years, how do you keep it fresh? Like you said, you tour a lot.
We tour a lot. We play a lot. All the guys in this band have been playing their instruments now for 30 plus years. So you always know when it's Dan playing bass right away, and you always know when Tim's playing guitar, and that's just because they have a voice. They've developed that sound, and for me, that is the greatest compliment you can pay a musician is to tell that person you have a unique voice. No one sounds like you. So I think we've all sort of strived at that. And we're always trying to push envelopes too. Musically, we're always trying to do new things, but that sort of comes with the idea that we're always moving forward. We really don't kind of dwell on the past. We're not the kind of guys who sit around and say, "Hey, remember when?" unless it's like maybe a club that we played like 20 years ago and it was a total dump, and it's still a total dump.
You don't use the bathroom there. You're gonna have to upper deck it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like you said, you definitely have a unique voice on the drums. There's a style and a flavor. There's a swing, and I could tell you're really working, but you make it look so effortless. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And there's guys that are really good drummers. There's some guys that are really musical. You manage to meld them both into, you're not just like up there like all technical, but you're not all just up there jamming. You're like, it's amazing. And in a band, it all works so well together. So I guess that's how you can see that. It's just, it must be amazing to just be like, it would be like being a painter with an endless amount of paint, right? You can just do whatever you want, and if it doesn't work, like when do you guys decide, hey, this isn't a right song for us?
Those moments happen sometimes without even speaking to one another. We kind of just know. At this point, there's so much communication that happens that we don't even say things sometimes. It just sort of happens in the room as we're writing. Stuff just comes together. People don't say anything. We're just trading ideas back and forth. And mostly I listen. I listen to these guys a lot, and that's the main thing. I don't come to the song with some preconceived notion like this is how the drums are going to go for this song. And even when I try to do that, it almost never works out. So I really just listen to these guys and let them sort of feel what's happening, and it's an honor really to see all the creativity that happens.
It's amazing. Like, when you first hear the song, you're like, oh, this is a good song, I like the groove. And then the second time you hear it, you start to hear the complexity and the layers of it. And you're like, wow, it's not like overbearing complexity like progressive music. It has those layers where you're like, wow, like you can listen to the album. Like I listen to Earth Rocker. I've probably listened to it more than you have because I love it. And every time I hear a little something new, I'm like, wow, and it's like, but it's not like, it's never beating you over the head with, hey, look at how I can play, or I got to fit this note in. It's like, it's almost like you're magicians, And I'm sorry to slather you. I'm trying to maintain my composure. But where can everybody find out your tour dates? Maybe buy merchandise, and God forbid, actually buy the music, and see all the Clutch news. And where can everybody find all that stuff?
Well, we have a good old-fashioned website. That is prorock.com, and that's a very comprehensive place. I mean, we've got a lot of material up there, a lot of old stuff, archival kinds of things, and all the latest tour dates and stuff. And of course, we do a Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all those. It's important to do that stuff these days.
What are the official ones?
Clutch Facebook is the most official.
Because some people make like fan pages and stuff and try to stake the claim, and make crap up and stuff. Maybe not for you guys because you get the respect you deserve usually, but somebody out there is probably going to try to do something.
Yeah, they're always. It's the internet.
There's always those bullies behind the keyboard talking tough or thinking they're this or that. Mm-hmm. So. Let's focus on you for a minute. When you first decided you wanted to be a musician, did you immediately, were you drawn to the drums, or did you start somewhere else?
Drums, right away, right from the get.
Yeah.
I loved drums even before I started playing drums. I can remember very specifically watching public television with my father, and seeing the Buddy Rich Big Band on TV, and watching this guy that was just such a technician, so beautifully playing things that seemed so intricate and so musical, and I'd never seen anything like that before. So that really knocked me out. I remember seeing Tony Williams on a similar program. And this is all before I even really got a drum kit. So I used to always work odd jobs as a kid, and when I was 16, I finally saved up enough money to buy a drum kit. Yeah. And probably one of the first records that I really latched onto was Black Sabbath's Paranoid. and most importantly, side B of that record. I used to listen to that record a lot, play along to that record, and I learned a lot from Bill Ward, I think, in that way.
A lot of people, like, that's another band. A lot of people hear it, they don't hear the swing in it. They hear it, they just hear, like, and then you go see a lot of bands cover it, and they don't get the swing, and they're just, you know, 2s and 4s. It's like, get that swing in there. That's what made Black Sabbath, that swing, and that's what made them influential, legendary.
Absolutely,
you know?
that was a very attractive sound to me. I loved the heaviness of the sound, but then there was such a swing happening, and there was a lot of intricacies, as you say, and that for me that was a very important part of the music. You know, there was a lot of just straight up heavy stuff that was going on, and I got into some of that later on too. You know. We used to go see a lot of hardcore shows and metal shows, and certainly there was a lot of drummers that I looked up to from that scene. But you know, it all really boils down to that first stuff that you listen to, that first stuff that you try to play, that first stuff that made an impact on you. And so for me, that was Black Sabbath, and that was also DC Go-Go. When I was a kid in junior high, before I started playing drums, you know, kids would sing songs and make beats on the desk, and I was mesmerized by it. You know, amazing. Wishing I could do something like that. And these songs were popular songs. They were really local hits. And it wasn't until I got on tour and started talking with other people about go-go that I really realized that sound never made it out of Washington D.C. So not in a real big way anyway. So those records influenced me early on. Guys like Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers and Junkyard Band and Rare Essence, just as much as the heavy stuff like Black Sabbath and Cream and Hendrix.
Yeah. And I know I read that, and trying to do a little research, I read you're like notorious for just practice. And, you know, a lot of people don't do that. You know, they go on tour and they warm up for a few minutes. They're like, I got this. Mm-hmm. But you can tell that you put the time in, and you know, it's not. You don't just think of it as the band. It's a craft. It's art. It's part of life. It's in your blood. I mean, I also read that you restore vintage drums.
Yeah.
That's got to be kind of fun.
That's fun to do. I have too many drums at home. A lot
but
of
you'll bring some more home, right?
I will. It never stops. I love it. I love old drums. I love new drums. Each drum really has a unique voice, and you know how it is. You can be playing an idea, and maybe you just switch up the snare drum, and all of a sudden you hear things differently. You know, and that drum can inspire a completely different take on something that maybe you've been working with for a long time.
Yeah, I also read that you're not really particularly endorsed by any particular drum company, and that you just use. That's got to be nice that you don't have to say, "Hey, give me this," because I'm sure that every I know that you got the cymbals, right?
Yep.
But you use whatever you want otherwise.
I do, but I have to admit that last year Gretsch approached me and asked if I would want to be an official Gretsch endorser. And so I said yes to that, because that's pretty much the greatest drums in the world.
I'm sure all of the companies have been coming after you.
You know, that's not really so, and I think that has more to do with the environment that we find ourselves in these days. You know, endorsements in the 90s were much easier to come by. I did not pursue them at that time because I prefer to play what I want to play, you know. And so for me, that was vintage drums or GMS. This is a GMS kit here, very much like these guys. They were for me. They were one of the first companies that started making drums outside of the big names that were really making beautiful, really great sounding drums. So I do have a few GMS kits. You know, but Gretsch is a classic sound, and I've always been a fan of Gretsch drums. I have Gretsch drum kits at home as well, and so they approached me, and I was honored to be a part of that, because that company has been in business for so long, and so many monster players are associated with that Gretsch sound, and it's a real thing.
And that is, I think, I thought I was trying to see what you were playing when the last time I saw you in Pittsburgh. I think it was based on stage lighting was either orange or like a yellow. Is that the Gretsch?
That's the
kit?
one. That's the Gretsch USA Custom.
Yeah, that had a great sound too.
Yeah, I love it. They really speak. It's a much different animal than the Slingerland kit that I was playing previous to that. Not to say that one is better than the other, but the Gretsch kit is very. It's a lot louder than the Slingerland kit. It's very bombastic. It really cuts through the band in a different way. The Slingerland drums are a little warmer, a little fatter, a little slower kind of a sound. And I'm a fan of that sound as well. But right now, this Gretsch kit is just really working, especially with the new songs, too.
Yeah.
You know, this kit has really kind of influenced the way I'm looking at those songs.
Well, I got a feeling you could put up a couple boxes and tin cans and make them sing. You know, a lot of it, I think, is your playing, too. And so when you restore your drums, you just have like a huge like storage shed or barn full of like these redone kits, or
I have a basement with all kinds of kits set up down there. Some of them are set up to play. Some of them are stacked up.
Yeah.
They all see action though. They all get played eventually. I don't keep around museum pieces. You know, there's not a drum that I think, well, don't touch that, because that's, you know, I believe a drum should be played. So I have drums dating all the way back to the 30s that I play. You know, that sometimes make it onto recordings.
Do you have to stretch like the skin for those?
No. Those all have regular tension heads on them.
And those, I see they make those. It's like, it's got to be a lot of work. At least
imagine.
now they make like synthetic ones, so they don't smell when you're stretching, because you know you sweat a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, because I see you getting after it, man. You make it look effortless, but I can see you working. You know. So what's the plan for the recordings, like time wise?
Well, we'll finish up this tour in Austin on the 10th, and the next day we'll load into the studio. We're recording with Machine again. Machine produced Earth Rocker. He built a brand new facility just outside of Austin. So we're excited about it. He's excited about it. It'll be a change for both of us, and I think that's always healthy. It is. This is different for us in that we recorded the last record with him, and we're recording this next record with him. We've never done that before. We've never recorded back-to-back albums with one guy, you know. And I think that's healthy as well, you know. This time around, though, things are just working out. We have a very good rapport with Machine. We've known him for a very long time. He can say stuff to the band that no one else can and get away with it.
It's almost like a fourth and a half member there. He gets to participate, but without having too much of a voice.
Right.
Like not doing the Bob Rock thing and taking over the band.
Right. Yeah, we definitely don't let him take over the band, but he tries sometimes.
You know, I guess one of the beauties of Clutch is the position you've put yourself in is you're not like super huge, so it's not like a big machine that you have to just keep churning out product and feel the pressure, but you've maintained a level of success that lets you do things on your own terms. You know, because every time you come here, it sells out. Every time. Like I told you, I had to go to another city, and the place was twice as big. It's 2 hours away. The place was twice as big, completely sold out.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, that's really cool. Like, it's like, I know if we had a place that big, they'd sell out here. You know, but you're not like, I'm not saying this to disparage you, you're not like arena size. Right. So you don't have the pressure of, we got to make an album that sells. You know, we got to compromise our integrity to make sure that we fill this hall. You know, which, you know, solid music. I know I read your stance on downloading and all that. So you know it's different now. I mean, someone who really likes the band, if they steal it, the music, they're going to buy it eventually. They're going to buy the tickets. They're going to buy the T-shirts, everything like that. So, but the big bands like that, they need that. You know, they have to churn it out. Unless they're like Metallica that can just make an album once every 20 years and who cares if it's good or not. They're going to tour huge, you know.
Right.
But I think this is better. I know, like I said, I saw you on festivals. I've seen you here a few times. I've seen you in a bigger place. And no matter where you guys play, it seems like it's the perfect size for you. I could see you guys playing like the Gund Arena across the street, 20,000 people. I could see you guys slamming in that place for 2 hours and leaving everybody destroyed, just like playing here for what is this, 1,800 people, leaving everybody just spent, you know, feeling good, you know, because you don't sell the crowd short. You give it all from the minute you start to the last second. You know, you guys don't take for granted for a second that, hey, these guys are here to see us, we can take a song off or something. And that, you know, people appreciate that, and that brings everybody back every time. I mean, there's people like, you know, people are like, oh my God, Clutch sold out again, what am I going to do? It's like, you know they're going to sell out. You got to buy the tickets. And you're going to sell out because you guys never sold out, you know. And it's impressive. Like I said, when I saw you at that festival, you guys played the smaller side stage. I'm like, why is Clutch should be on the big stage? But then I get over there and everybody's packed in. Like there's like maybe 6,000 people packed in where there's normally like maybe 800 or 900. I'm like, that's why they chose this stage, because they just wanted to crush and say, that's it, we don't need the big stage. Because you don't. You guys, I think if you guys are on the back of a pickup, you give the same performance. You know, and that's impressive, and real fans appreciate that, and that's why I think you got that following that you guys have. I mean, aside from the great music, you all seem like nice guys too. I mean, you know, you get, I don't want to name bands, but you get guys that are like take it for granted, and they eventually some people catch on to that, you know, and they lose fans, they lose, you know, and then they start putting out crap because they, you know, you guys, I can honestly say, I'm not bullshitting, you guys never put out crap. And that's impressive in a 24-year recording career. You know, you don't have one clunker album. I mean, come on, most bands have like a 3-album arc that's really good, and then other stuff. I mean, you guys are like classic, almost in the vein of Led Zeppelin, where, well, I shouldn't say that because I guess Coda was just a bunch of leftovers. You know, that was like Thursday Casserole with all the leftovers. It had a couple good songs, but your whole catalog is impressive. You know, which is incredible that you don't have like a steaming pile in there. Even one album is, you know, not one album, you know, which is amazing. That's impressive. That shows you guys still love doing it, right?
We do. We appreciate it. We do not take this for granted.
Yeah.
You know, when we started the band, the idea really was only to play good shows and make good recordings.
Yeah.
That's really all we wanted to do. We never thought we would make this a career. And that mindset still carries us today. Now, fortunately, we've been able to carve a career out of this business, and yeah, it's certainly the dynamics have changed. You know, we have to be cognizant of that. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to do the same thing: make good records and do good shows.
And you guys obviously get along on some level, which is impressive too. After all these years on the road, I'm sure you started out in a van or a station wagon, if not a Fiat with a trailer on the back.
We did all that stuff.
And I know you guys have to travel in the same bus, especially in this economy.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you guys to get along and stay together, I mean, not many bands have kept all original guys for 20-some years. You know, that's impressive. That says a lot about that you guys have the same vision, not necessarily the same taste, bring the same things to the band, but you have the same vision for Clutch, which is nice, because doesn't seem anybody has the big head. Neil's not like, hey, I'm the singer out of this and that. You know, you're not like, hey, I'm JPG, the fucking baddest drummer in the land, I got this, you know, and Tim's not like this, and bass player's not like that. Everybody is like, I don't know, maybe, I'm sure there might be some arguments here, but it's never here and there, but it's never got to the point where, hey, you know, in the news, you know, John Paul's sitting out this tour of Clutch.
All right.
You know, it's not like that. It's amazing. Most bands don't have that. You know, that's incredible.
We're very proud of the fact that we've been able to stay together for as long as we have.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to what I said earlier. You know, it's really all about playing good shows and making good records. You know, all the other stuff is peripheral, and that commonality that four of us share really. That guides us, you know, with whatever we're doing.
Now, when you're home and you're working on your drums, do you teach at all, like the kids and stuff?
I have taught. The lately, within the last couple years, really since Earth Rocker came out, we have been beyond busy.
Yeah, you've been on the road nonstop.
A lot.
For this.
So it's difficult to do. I do lessons on occasion from time to time, but I feel like it's really something that you need to do on a regular basis. You need to get students who study with you on a regular basis, and I need to be in a mindset where I can teach on a regular basis. And it's been difficult to do recently, but that's something I enjoy. Anytime I give a drum lesson, I learn a little something.
Because I've watched a couple other interviews I've read. You're really like a musician's musician. I mean, like I said before, some guys just go up there and they're like, "This is us, we're doing it," but this is your blood. I mean, a musician on the road, they're like, "Yeah, I'm bleeding for it." No, but you're not bleeding for it. This is your blood. If you cut the music would come out. And that's why I asked about the teaching, because I'd imagine you get off the road and say you have 2 months off. It's great to go home to the wife, and I don't know if you guys have kids, a family, but I'm sure, based on what I've read and seen the interviews, you're after the first day, you're probably ready to get behind the kit or play the drums again, and you're itching for it. Even not necessarily even just in the band thing, just to get into your own thing.
Sure. I play a lot at home, and I try to do side gigs whenever I can. I've been lucky enough to do some cool projects.
Yeah. What any of that see the light?
Well, I play pretty regularly with a blues guitarist back home called Mike Westcott. Those gigs are always fun. There's another guitarist called Mark Stanley that I've been doing gigs with recently. I played on his album that came out last year. And a great bass player called Jay Turner. I just made a record with him. So, whenever I get the opportunity to do the side things, I definitely try to take advantage of that. You always learn something whenever you do something like that. And I've been lucky enough to have been asked by really great players to be a part of these projects. So it's something that I very much enjoy doing.
Now, if there was, if you're home and just in your mind a dream, not gig, because you got Clutch, that's the dream gig, but like just someone to jam with, and a dream musician that would just call you out of nowhere and be like, "Hey, John Paul, this is blah blah blah." Yeah. Would you be able? Do you want to jam?
Yeah.
Who would it be for you?
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. If someone, who else? Someone alive. No.
Someone alive. Someone alive. Maybe Lemmy.
Lemmy? That'd be fun. Yeah. I always dreamed going and jamming with Prince.
Yeah.
Just I could just imagine, and he'd be like, "No, this is how you do it," because he plays all the instruments. But I think just
scared, man. I bet he'd be tough.
He's 5 foot tall though.
Yeah.
I don't know,
man.
He's spry though.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. So that would be something. Hear him playing and but. Everyone's like, "Who was your dream scenario?" Even just in a jam room that nobody else ever heard. You just, like you said, Jimi Hendrix. Just imagine laying that down, playing with him. What he would have done, or would he just be some fat old guy just strumming along, getting a paycheck now?
I kind of doubt that.
I kind of think he'd still be creative. I think he would have straightened himself out and invigorated.
Absolutely.
Because I think he's just starting to tap that vein of that musical genius of what he's doing. So when for back in those days, you had Keith Moon, John Bonham, Ginger Baker, Mitch Mitchell. Who was your guy out of those guys?
Well, all those guys really. Probably first was Ginger Baker and Bill Ward. I got into Zeppelin a little later on. I liked Ginger Baker and Bill Ward for the same reason, that they really had that sort of swing influence in their playing, but they were playing in very loud rock bands.
Did you ever think you'll be an angry old man like Ginger Baker was?
I hope not.
Did you see the document?
I certainly did. Probably one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I watched. I was like, wow. Yeah. It was amazing. Watching him go up and down and up and down. It's oh man, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, I guess you don't have any quirks because you're like a musical genius behind the kid. You don't have any of those idiosyncrasies. Sorry, English is my second language. I'm sorry. You don't have any of those quirks, like, you know, you're not a madman, are you?
I hope not. I try not to be. Try to be cool. Yeah.
You know, 'cause some of those, like Ginger, like it's funny in that thing. He's like, who was he talking about? I think he said, Bonham can't swing.
Couldn't swing a sack of shit.
Yeah, that's what he said. Couldn't sing
I
it.
know.
It's like, oh come on, man. Listen to Stairway to Heaven. He's swinging it.
Yeah.
You know, he's listen to like.
Yeah, but you got to look at it from his perspective. I mean, he very early on was turned on to that African thing,
Yeah.
and for him, I think that really defined how he looked at the drums. And so there's like a dimensionality that happens when you can look at time like that.
Yeah.
You know, he's playing one thing, but you know, I think he's thinking 2, 3, 4 time signatures sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, different layers of sound. And,
Yeah.
there's a complexity there that other drummers weren't doing.
Yeah.
Elvin certainly did. He's a huge influence on me. I think, you know, Bonham came from a much more sort of American R&B kind of a thing, you know.
Yeah.
Earl Palmer and Bernard Purdie, and that's a different way of looking at the drums.
Yeah. Well, gotta thank Bernard for the Purdie Shuffle.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
Like I was reading, Steely Dan was like, they told him they gave us this big budget for recording.
Yeah.
I think it was Reeling in the Years was on that album, and they're like, we want the Purdie Shuffle. They had all this money, like, let's hire Bernard.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think I met him one time, I just said, thanks for the shuffle, that's all I said.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, but like Bonham, yeah, he was big, bombastic, but there was some, like, you listen to isolated tracks, you hear some swing in it.
Absolutely.
It's not like Ginger, definitely, because he was more of a jazz, like he started out as the jazz guy.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it was just funny that he said that. Just he didn't care. He said it on, and everybody, you know, especially when someone passes away who's legendary, nobody says anything bad like that. He couldn't sing a sweat. And he said it's about Keith Moon too, right? He said Mooney wasn't, you know.
He wasn't.
Yeah, Mooney was more just bombastic.
He's a bad man.
Yeah, he was. Like I actually, like, one time I jammed with these dudes and I loved it, and I made the mistake of saying I don't like the Who, and that was it. I lost the gig.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh come on, guy. I like a few of the Who songs. I don't get it. But that's the beauty of music. Something different for everybody. You know. I mean, I'm sure that you guys don't listen to the same things, all the same things. I'm sure there's a lot of common ground, but you know, your iPod is probably different from Tim's and everybody else's, you know. But that's the beauty of music. It's just when you start trying to force it down someone's throat. I mean, because you can tell, Clutch, you guys aren't all coming from the same starting block. You know, there's a lot of different things going into there, you know, and it's always Clutch, and I appreciate that. I know the fans appreciate it, you know, because I know you're out there sweating, you know, and it's like, you know, they know it's legit. And do you guys, you got such a wide catalog. How do you choose what songs you're going to play to, you know, because most real Clutch fans aren't going to care what you play, because you're going to play it great. You're going to give it 100%. And like I said, you guys haven't put out any shit, so everything's great. But everybody has their favorite songs. Like, I got a favorite song on every album. How do you guys pick what you're going to do? Because you have so much material.
Well, we have a routine that we've been doing for many years now, and that is that on the first night of a tour, Dan makes the set list. On the second night of a tour, I make the set list. Then Neil, and then Tim, and then we start all over again. And that goes for the length of the tour. Oh. So, because of that, I think we have a wider variety of songs to pull from than a lot of other bands do.
Whose set list is tonight?
That's mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we need to wrap up because I need to write a set list.
Oh, is it? Do you need help? Can you put DC Sound Attack on it?
A good chance that's going to be
maybe Spleen Merchant.
Yeah.
Well, you made me weep, and you made me moan. When you caused me to leave, child, my happy home. But someday, baby, You ain't worry my life anymore. In the neighborhood, what a dirty mistreater, that it was no good. But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore. If I had money like Henry Ford, Lord, I'd have me a woman, yeah, on every road. But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore.